As you can see, this is the Florida Sheriff's Association, and many of our esteemed colleagues are with us today. So I welcome all of my sheriffs with us. We serve together to keep Florida safe, and I'm going to turn it over now to our president, Sheriff Permel. Sheriff?
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning, everybody. First, I want to start off by thanking Governor DeSantis, Senate President Ben Albritton, and Speaker of the House, Danny Perez. Since these immigration discussions have started with the special session, they brought us right in and gave us a seat at the table to discuss all this. And now we have the laws that are passed. A lot of you have heard 287G. Well, 287G falls under Title 8 of the U.S. Immigration Code. And it outlines several different programs in which local law enforcement can use to assist ICE and HSI. One of those programs is what's called the Warrant Service Officer Program. This allows us to train our deputies within the jails. They get special certifications, and they can serve warrant detainers that ICE issues out to those criminal illegals that come into our jails. And I am very proud to report, through the hard work of the sheriffs and the staff at the Florida Sheriff's Association, all 57 sheriff-run jails and 10 county-run jails have their WSO MOAs signed. And we are now working on, within the next couple of weeks, we're very hopeful that we will have the training here in Florida and that all of the jails will be up and running. So what that does is, like I stated, it allows them, when somebody is arrested and booked into our jail, if they have a detainer on them, ICE is notified. When that person is ready to leave the jail, our staff can serve that warrant on them and hold them for an extra 48 hours, and then ICE comes and takes them into custody. So now our next step is, you have heard the governor talking about what he's doing with the state law enforcement officers. Another program under the 287G is the Street Task Force program. That allows law enforcement, state and local law enforcement, to augment some of the powers of ICE out there on the street. As we're doing our normal duties and we come across illegals that have detainers, we're able to do those investigations and turn them over to ICE. We've been working diligently with the sheriffs so everybody's MOA can get signed, and we are working on the future training for that as well. So with the governor's lead, we're following behind, and your sheriffs are ready to go. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our legislative chair, Sheriff Bob Galtieri.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Bob Galtieri. I'm the sheriff in Pinellas County and chair of the FSA Legislative Committee. So illegal immigration is a problem. It's not only a federal problem, it's a problem for all of us. It's a problem for every village, every town, every city, every county, and every state in America. It's a problem for a number of reasons, but at the forefront is the problem of criminal illegals. Those in our country who wreak havoc in our communities, those who victimize our citizens by peddling their dope, stealing, molesting kids, and killing people. This is wrong. It's not okay. And there are some people out there, and we understand this, who espouse empathy for some people in our country illegally because of decades of failed federal immigration policies. Those are people who have been here for years, albeit illegally, who have assimilated into our communities, work in some cases, and in some cases even pay taxes, and those people commit no crimes. And there is room for discussion about that. But there is no room for discussion about those who are in this country illegally, who are victimizing our citizens, who are committing crimes, who are disobeying our laws. There's no room for discussion about that, and these people need to go, and they need to go today. There's also no room for discussion about the people who come here illegally, go through the immigration process. A judge orders them deported. They are deported, and then they come back again illegally, like the illegal who twice came back who killed one of our deputies in September of 2022. That guy, as I said, was twice previously deported back to Honduras. He came back a third time illegally through Eagle Pass, Texas, and he killed Pinellas County Sheriff's Deputy Michael Hartwick. There's also no room for discussion about the 1.4 million people in our country today with active final deportation orders issued by a judge who also issued a warrant for their removal, and these people simply flick their finger at the court and they haven't left. What I say to that is just no. This is not okay. From everything we have heard, seen, and been a part of with the federal government, their priority is apprehending and deporting as quickly as possible those who are criminal illegals, public safety threats, national security threats, those who have been previously deported and come back again, like Deputy Hartwick's killer, and those who are ignoring a judge's order to leave after they had their day in court. There's a number of ways that sheriffs and other local law enforcement agencies can help ICE, and we should help ICE because ICE does not have the resources to do it alone, and it's our constituents, the people who elected us, to keep them safe who are being victimized by these criminal illegals. Now, sheriffs work closely with ICE now, and according to ICE, the most pressing need they have is for us to deliver to them people who are booked into our jails who are clearly illegals and have clearly committed crimes, so that these people are deported and not released back into the community to yet commit more crime. We do that, as Sheriff Pinnell mentioned, by honoring the immigration detainer requests and the accompanying warrant. Now, I have an example of those up here to the board to the left, and one of them is the detainer itself, which is the request, and the warrant is what gives us the authority, the legal authority to hold these people. And we're working with ICE to honor these immigration detainer requests, and we have going back to 2017. But back in 2017, we ran into a problem, and there was a legal problem. But we worked with then ICE Director Tom Homan, and we came up with a legal solution where our deputies in the jails across Florida would be deputized under 287G to serve these ICE arrest warrants that go with the detainers. We're able to implement this in some of Florida's county jails before President Trump left office the first time, but not in all counties. And when the Biden administration came in, they gutted the program. They stopped the deputizations. During the first Trump administration, I'll give you an example just for the Pinellas County Jail, we were averaging about 400 detainers a year. In the first year of the Biden administration, we got 14. We currently have about 150 people in the Pinellas County Jail. And remember, there are 66 other jails in Florida of people who are charged with crimes, who are in the country illegally, and for whom we have received ICE detainers. Now, 6 of these people, and I'm going to go through these people that we have up here on the boards. The first one is they're currently in the Pinellas County Jail, been charged with state crimes, here illegally. The first one is Gennaro Pena. He's illegally here from Mexico. We arrested him in Pinellas County on a charge of burglary to an occupied structure. Now, think about this. He's here illegally from Mexico. He's breaking into people's homes. And here in Florida, okay, his criminal history is aggravated battery, trespassing, resisting a law enforcement officer, 2 additional previous burglary charges, brawling, possession of crack cocaine, petty theft, and criminal mischief. The next one is Samuel Pedraza Garcia. He's also here illegally from Mexico, and we arrested him on 20 counts of viewing and possessing child pornography. The next one is Moises Israel Sanchez Hernandez. He's illegally here from El Salvador. We arrested him on a charge of lewd and lascivious molestation of a child under 12 years old. This child molester has a Florida criminal arrest record for domestic violence, possession of cocaine, forgery, hit and run with injuries, attempted purchase of cocaine, and a probation violation. The next one is Jamie Moran, illegally here from Mexico. He was arrested in our county for lewd and lascivious molestation and sexual battery of a child under 12 years old. To put this one in simple terms, this illegal alien from Mexico raped a kid under 12 years old. That's not okay. His arrest record, on top of this, raping a kid under 12, is for larceny, theft, domestic battery, soliciting for prostitution, and domestic battery. The next one, Eduardo Lopez Rojas, who is illegally here from Cuba, and he was drunk and killed someone in our county. He's charged with DUI manslaughter, DUIs causing serious bodily injury, and resisting arrest. And last but not least, we have Aner Javier Maldonado from Honduras. This illegal alien raped a physically helpless person and committed numerous acts of lewd and lascivious molestation on a child. The formal charges are sexual battery of a physically helpless person and multiple counts of lewd and lascivious molestation on a child between 12 and 16 years old. His criminal history includes possession and purchase of cocaine, robbery, aggravated battery causing bodily harm, re-entry of a deported alien and being found in the U.S. after but not being denied. So he's one of those guys that was previously through the system, got booted, and now he comes back here and is raping somebody between 12 and 16 years old. And some people say that illegal immigration is not a problem. Really? Okay, look at these. So for 4 years under the Biden administration, no Florida County Jail personnel were trained or deputized by ICE, and huge numbers of criminal illegals, like these killers and child rapists, were released back into our communities. When President Trump took office a month ago and ICE ramped up the detainer process, 26 of Florida's 67 county jails were unable to honor the immigration detainers that would keep people like this in custody because there was no 287G personnel trained and deputized who could make these immigration arrests because Biden gutted it. On day one of the Trump administration, just over 30 days ago, we immediately began moving forward to get 287G agreements signed with all remaining 26 county jails that, again, had been stymied under the Biden administration, including some big ones. Miami-Dade, Orange, Hillsborough. We've been working hard on this over the last couple of weeks. And as was said, today we announced that we have signed agreements in all 67 county jails in Florida. Now, I want to thank Senate President Ben Albritton, House Speaker Danny Perez, and Governor Ron DeSantis for their full court press on immigration, and the immigration bills that they recently made law in Florida are good policy and good for public safety in Florida. The governor, the Senate President, the Speaker are out front on this very important issue, and Florida is leading the nation. While the Governor, Speaker, and President have set the course, I also want to recognize and thank the staff behind the scenes in the Senate President's office, the Speaker's office, and the Governor's office, especially their respective chiefs of staff and lawyers who worked tirelessly over the last few weeks to ensure Florida has the best possible legislation at the moment. Many thanks to those people behind the scenes who really got the job done. Now, one important requirement in the new state law is that all 67 counties must have 287G personnel and honor the immigration detainers. Implementing the process under which all jails will be able to hold these criminal illegals is well underway, and we hope to have it fully operational within the next 15 to 30 days. This is a big deal because it means criminals like these, people who kill people, people who steal, people who break into people's houses, people who rape kids, will be deported directly from jail and not released back to the street where ICE, or us helping ICE, have to go and track them down. It just makes sense from the jail out of here as opposed to the jail back to the street. This is another big change from the Biden era when these criminal illegals, because back then in the Biden era, during the Biden administration, when they were arrested, we couldn't turn them back over to ICE or turn them over to ICE because under the Biden administration, he required that they be convicted before they could be deported. That's ridiculous. So people like these would bond out of jail, stay in Florida because they had to be convicted, then do their time, then they would be deported. No more. Now it's jail to deportation. These 287G straight task forces that Sheriff Promell mentioned, they're very important, and we're glad to participate. But according to ICE, plugging the hole in these jails that are not now honoring these detainers is the priority because it keeps clearly bad people from getting back on the street where then ICE has to go expend resources and we have to help them go find these people. It's also safer for the ICE officers to take these people into custody from the jail. The street task forces have not existed in 12 years because they were killed under the Obama administration. December 31st of 2012 is the last time there were street task forces in the United States. And 12 years of local law enforcement not being able to help ICE make these arrests has had an impact, and not a good one. People ask why so many Americans have died over that time from fentanyl overdoses. Here in Florida, in 2022, there were 6,000 230 people who died from fentanyl overdoses. Where's the fentanyl coming from? Across the border, peddled by these people. It is because that's what happens when there's a porous border, illegal alien drug traffickers run amok, and a strapped immigration agency can't get help from local law enforcement to deport these people peddling their poison. Another problem is ICE bed space. Sheriffs, all of us, are looking hard to see what we can do to create capacity in our jails to help ICE with bed space. ICE right now only has 2,000 beds in the state of Florida, and they're full. With the jail detainer program coming online in big counties like Miami-Dade, Orange, and Hillsborough, beds are going to be an issue, but that cannot get in the way of getting these criminal illegals out of our state and out of our country. The Florida Sheriffs look forward to working with our federal partners to do what Florida citizens elected us to do, and that is to keep them safe, and we're going to do that. And I'll turn it over to Sheriff Judd.
Thank you, Sheriff. When you look up here today, you see the best law enforcement leaders in the state of Florida. When you see this that says 67, you go, oh, that's good. That's no small task. It's the Florida Sheriff's Association leading the way for the state of Florida. But we're also leading the way for the United States. We're creating the example for other states, other sheriffs associations to follow. The reality of it is we have made it abundantly clear and are working with the federal government every day. The number one, and I want to highlight what Sheriff Gualtieri ended with, is capacity. We can overwhelm their current ability to house people in days. As you've heard me say for the last 2 or 3 weeks, that in addition to that, there's about 1.4 million deportation warrants that's in ICE's custody, but our law enforcement officers across the state have no idea who they are. And the reason we have no idea who they are is because they don't put them in the NCIC system. Well, voila. This last Friday, they've put 700,000 of the 1.4 million that we're aware of in our NCIC system. Okay, so I want to frame this for a second. So now we've got 700,000 warrants of deportation. The big challenge, and we're working with ICE, but the president needs to get that big black pen out and get to signing EOs. We've got to have capacity, and it's got to come from the federal government. There's a lot of nuances and small rules that ICE has already broken down for us, but there's still a lot more to do. We're working around the clock in order to work the details out so we can ultimately help the president with his mission that, quite frankly, that was provided by the people of the United States who said, we want these illegal aliens who commit crime out of this country, and we want them out now. I applaud Governor DeSantis. In fact, you've seen this before, and you're going to see them right now. We showed you a while back some Ron DeSantis border crossing, and here's what's happened. This is all it took under the Biden administration to get across the border, is to just walk across the border. Or you could run across the border. Or you could skip across the border. Well, now they need to turn around and go the other way. If they self-deport, then they won't end up in a jail and a lockup through the system. But it's time to go the other way. And that's important. As we've said before, this is all about what we want you to do and to understand it's southbound and down. It's time to leave the country. You can leave by yourself or you can leave in handcuffs. But we're tired of people such as Sheriff Gualtieri's pointed out here that are in this country illegally raping, robbing, murdering, pillaging, and stealing and have multiple arrests. How did they get to the second arrest? Why weren't they deported after the first one? Because the federal government thinks more of the illegal alien in this country that's victimizing the good people than they thought of the good people. President Trump says it's a new day. Governor DeSantis says it's a new day. Governor DeSantis and our President Ben Albritton and our Speaker Danny Perez says we're going to not only lead the state in keeping the people of the state of Florida safe, but we're going to lead the nation and show them how.